Have you ever stopped to think that the most incredible, most sophisticated machine you will ever own is your own body? Seriously, it's an absolute masterpiece of engineering, just quietly humming along, and it's all governed by the fundamental laws of physics. So today, we're going to dive into the amazing world of biophysics.
Now, this might sound like the setup to a really weird joke, but I promise you, the answer connects all of those things directly to you. You see, the stretch of a rubber band, the flow of a river, the vibrations of sound, these are all physical principles your body is using literally every single second just to keep you alive.
So first up, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden world. Let's start exploring the incredible and often totally invisible engineering that makes you, well, you.
Think about it. From the structural integrity that keeps your bones from snapping, to the way your heart pumps blood through your veins, to how your ears make sense of the world, it's all physics. These aren't just some abstract ideas from a textbook. They are the very processes that define your existence, and they're happening all the time, without you ever having to think about it.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual materials that you're made of. How do your tissues, your bones, your tendons, handle all the daily stresses of life? Well, it all comes down to their amazing mechanical properties.
The first big one is elasticity. Just think about what happens when you jump. Your tendons stretch out to absorb that impact, and then they spring right back, returning all that energy. This ability to deform and then snap back to normal is absolutely vital. And it's not just for moving around, it's happening in your arteries with every single heartbeat.
But, elasticity has a counterpart, and that's plasticity. So while elastic tissues bounce back, plastic deformation, well, that's permanent. It's like this. If you bend a paperclip and it stays bent, that's plasticity. This happens with our bones too. They have a little bit of give, but if you push them too far, they fracture, and that's a permanent change.
And there's a pretty simple rule that governs all this stretching. Basically, the more force or stress you apply to a tissue, the more it stretches or strains. The relationship between those two is a measure of stiffness. So tissues with a high stiffness, like bone, really resist stretching. But tissues with low stiffness, like your tendons, are way more flexible. So why do we care about any of this? Because when these mechanical properties start to degrade, it leads directly to disease. If your blood vessels lose their elasticity, their springiness, you get high blood pressure. If your bones lose their strength, that's osteoporosis. This isn't just theory, it's the real-world physics behind so many health problems we face.
Okay, we've covered the solid materials. Now let's talk about the liquids. We're diving into the incredible fluid dynamics of your circulatory system, the physics behind your heart's rhythmic flow.
Now, to really get blood flow, we have to talk about viscosity. It's basically a liquid's thickness, right? It's the internal friction that resists flowing. Honey has super high viscosity, water has very low viscosity, and your blood's viscosity is absolutely critical. If it gets too thick, your heart has to work way harder to pump it around your body.
To understand this whole complex system, scientists use models. The mechanical one is pretty intuitive. The heart is a pump, the vessels are tubes, and blood is the fluid. But here's another really powerful way to look at it, as an electrical circuit. In this model, blood flow is the current, blood pressure is the voltage, and the resistance from the vessels, well, that's the electrical resistance. Thinking about it this way is a total game changer for analyzing how it all works.
So how do we actually measure the voltage in this system? Well, you've all had your blood pressure taken. Here's what's happening. The cuff inflates and cuts off blood flow completely. Then, as it's slowly released, the doctor listens. That very first whooshing sound of blood forcing its way through, that's your systolic pressure, the peak force. And when the sound goes away because the artery is fully open again, that's your diastolic pressure, the resting force. It's just simple physics in action.
And these physical properties of your blood, they're an absolute goldmine of information for doctors. If your viscosity is too high, it could point to dehydration or even diabetes. Too low, and it might be a sign of anemia. And of course, abnormal pressure is one of the biggest indicators of cardiovascular health. The physics of your blood tells a really detailed story about what's going on inside you.
All right, we've gone from solids to liquids, and now we are moving to waves. Let's explore how we perceive the entire world through the physics of sound, what you could call the very vibration of life.
At its core, sound is just a mechanical wave, a vibration traveling through the air. Our ears are specifically tuned to a certain frequency range, from about 20 to 20,000 hertz. Anything lower than that is called infrasound, And anything higher is ultrasound, which, as you know, has become an unbelievably important tool in medicine.
I mean, the versatility of sound as a medical tool is just astonishing. That simple act of a doctor listening to your heart with a stethoscope, that's auscultation, a use of sound. High-frequency ultrasound gives us a totally safe, non-invasive window into the body. We can even use super powerful sound waves to literally shatter kidney stones. All of these are amazing applications of really basic physics.
But honestly, the most incredible part is what happens inside your head. Your ear is basically a transducer. It takes the purely mechanical energy of a sound wave, it amplifies it, and then it converts it into electrical nerve impulses that your brain can understand. It turns a physical vibration into the rich, emotional experience of hearing music or the voice of someone you love.
Okay, for our final section, we're going even deeper. We're going to zoom right past the tissues, past the fluids, all the way down to the molecular level, where the most fundamental forces of physics are constantly at play.
First, let's talk about surface tension. It's that force that pulls water molecules together so tightly that it almost forms a skin. It's why water forms droplets, why insects can walk on water. It's all because of the attraction between molecules. And that exact same force is absolutely critical inside your lungs.
And here is why. Your lungs are lined with millions of tiny, moist air sacs called alveoli. The surface tension of the fluid inside them creates a force that's constantly trying to make them collapse on themselves. To fight this, your body produces a special substance called a surfactant, which breaks that tension. Without it, you couldn't take a single breath. It's a constant, microscopic battle between physics and biology happening right now, inside you.
And now for the biggest idea of all, the second law of thermodynamics. This is one of the fundamental rules of the entire universe, and what it says is that over time, everything tends to move from a state of order to a state of disorder, or chaos. And the measure of that disorder is something we call entropy.
And this is where things get really profound. In a universe that is constantly, relentlessly running down towards chaos, life is the great exception. You are a highly ordered, incredibly complex, low-entropy system. And you maintain this amazing order by constantly taking in energy from the food you eat, the oxygen you breathe, and using it to fight off that relentless march of entropy. You are literally a rebellion against the second law of thermodynamics.
So the next time you feel your own pulse, or you take a deep breath, or you listen to your favorite song, I hope you'll think about the incredible physics at play. Will you hear the elegant equations of fluid dynamics in your veins, the mechanics of vibration in your ears, and will you feel that constant, energetic fight against chaos that is, quite simply, you?